Okay, good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining tonight's Mozilla Philippines Community Meetup. My name is Bob Reyes. We have a very special guest for tonight. But before we give the virtual stage to him, okay, so just a few reminders. So this meetup is being recorded so that it will be available for replay via YouTube to our community members who are not able to join us tonight. Uh, Throughout the talk of our guests, please mute your microphones. You will be given the chance to unmute yourselves later during the Q&A. Okay. So for our agenda, we have a special guest from AWS, Donnie, who will be talking about what you need to build, what you need to build apps using serverless computing. And then we'll have Q&A. And later on, I'll be giving some updates about the community. And if those people who signed up for lightning talks are present, we'll give them 5 minutes each and then some closing remarks. Okay, so for those, can I have a show of hands? We can have a reaction here. Okay, who among you here are first time to attend the Mozilla Philippines Community Meetup? Okay, so can use the reactions. Just raise your hands. Can I have a show of hands? Do we have first time drink? Oh, there, cool. Okay, so we have Vera May, RJ, AJ, Sage, Kimberly, Seiji. Okay, sorry, Seiji. I hope I got it correct. Of course, Donnie. Thank you. Welcome. Okay, Alex, Kim, John, Mark, Jason. Okay, so welcome. Mabuhay. This is the Mozilla Philippines Community. So for those who are not much aware what we do. So what is Mozilla? So basically, we are an organization that started out of this browser. If you are too young to know, you're not within my age range. I'm still young. Okay, this is Netscape. So in the 1990s, there was this browser, but it folded out and became an open source project. And that open source project was called the Mozilla project. That was in 1998. I was still in college that time. Okay. So from that day on, the organization was a nonprofit organization up to this day. So being a nonprofit, we have a mission. So we basically just shortened the mission into three items. One is that we want to build a better internet. And then our mission is to ensure that the internet will remain as a global public resource that is open and accessible to all. And we want to have an internet that will truly put people first so that individuals can shape their own experiences and are empowered, safe, and independent. So all of the products of Mozilla revolves around these three things, the Mozilla mission. Sometimes we call it the manifesto. Okay. So later, if you have questions about this, feel free to ask it. Okay. Towards the end of the meetup. Okay. So Donnie said that I still remember how Mozilla disrupted the internet with Firefox. Netscape was the #1 contender to IE back then. Yeah, that's correct. We even have this a graphic. I cannot find it, but I think it's on my other computer. It's like a David versus Goliath thing where Microsoft is the giant, okay, and Mozilla Netscape is the underdog, but we eventually won. But things turned out differently after a few years. But if you're using Firefox, you're basically using Netscape, okay, because most of the code from Netscape was imported into the project, okay. So how to join Mozilla? If you are still not a volunteer, we need people to use and test our products. We need people to spread the word about free and open source software and online privacy, especially now that here in the Philippines, we are just a year away from the elections. Okay, so we watch out for the programs and projects that the Mozilla Philippines Community will have, especially about online privacy. We also need people who are willing to learn and to be trained in helping our people become web literate. And lastly, we need people to be more awesome online. Okay, so just go to join.mozillaph.org. So it's just an online form for us to get your details, where to contact you, and basically what you in what way you wish to be part of the community as a volunteer. Okay, so now I'll be handing over the virtual stage to our very special guest. Okay, so we have AWS Senior Developer Advocate Donnie Prakoso. Okay, to give us a talk so that we learn how to build apps using serverless computing. Okay, so welcome, Mabuhay, Donnie. How are you?
Mabuhay, Bob. I'm good. I'm good. One note that just want to add some note that if you're already using Firefox, then you are already awesome. So you need to step up your awesomeness.
Thank you, thank you. And we are
Okay,
using
so
AWS.
oh, that's double awesome.
Okay. During
Okay.
reInvent 2019, I saw the logo of Mozilla up on stage when Andy was on
Nice.
stage.
Okay, so can anyone see my screen? Is it showing the PowerPoint presentation?
Yep, we can see it.
Oh, good, yeah. Okie dokie. Oh, this is the Zoom. Okay, so hello everyone. Thanks for having me and welcome to this session. So in this session, we're going to discuss on what and why on serverless computing and how you can build application using serverless computing. So in this session, I try to mix between the foundation and practical information for all of you. And one of the most important takeaway for this session is how you can use modern mindset on building applications, and that's by using serverless computing. So you can focus more on your products and move your business forward. Okay, so one more thing. So this session is actually structured for developers. So I'm going to focus more on technical stuff, especially for beginner or intermediate developers. So if you have any questions, if it's related to how that you can improve your business with serverless computing, just drop them on the Slido link that I'm going to share on the next couple of next slide. Okay. So quick introduction of myself. My name is Donnie Prakoso. I'm AWS Senior Developer Advocate for ASEAN. And for the past 17 years, I've been building services and solutions for various industries, ranging from banking, telco to startups. Especially for startups, before I joined AWS, I was a technical advisor for several startups in various verticals such as media entertainment, e-commerce, digital agency, and machine learning-based startups. Most of them were based in Indonesia and few of them were based in Europe. My specialization is microservices, event-driven architecture, and all sorts related to containers and serverless. So if at some point you have a questions related to those fields, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn and Twitter. Okay, so for this session, I'm going to use Slido to get all your questions and also by running polls. So if during the session you have a questions, feel free to post them on Slido. So here's the QR code and the event code. I'm going to wait for a while so you can log in and you can use the Slido. Okay.
Cool, thank you. One thing, Donnie, we can see your Crisp window. You're using Crisp
window. Oh, yes,
yeah.
I'm using Crisp.
Okay, there. We can see it there.
Okay, dokie.
Thank you.
No worries. I'm going to pause at this slide for a while, and I'm going to need change my Zoom configuration. Okay, I'm going to. Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay, so if you have questions, just go to app.slide.do and then enter the event code 725782 or just scan the QR code that you see on your screen.
Okay. Okay, I hope everyone already logged into Slido. And let's go for the first thing, which is polling. Okay, so first poll. Have you built and run applications using serverless computing? Is it? Oh, okay, I'm seeing the response now. Okay, so we have a mix. Oh, I love this. We have a mix, 50%, 40% to 60% for those who are really new to serverless computing, which is good, which is going to be, some of my slides going to be useful for you. Oh, amazing. Okay. Okay, so this is a good news because I believe the session is going to be useful and relevant for all of you, for the majority of you. Okay, so to give you a big picture on how I structure the session, this is the key talking points. We're going to start with what and why on serverless computing. This is to give you a foundation on why developers are moving to serverless computing and how it differs from traditional approach, which is using VMs or even on-prem. Then we're quickly moving to the most common architecture for various use cases. And believe it or not, the architecture that I will present is what most startups use when they started their products. And then we're going to base our discussion from that architecture and map it to AWS serverless services that we can use to implement serverless applications. And of course, if the time permits, I'm going to give you some demos, live ones, so you know how it looks like in practice. And lastly, Q&A. I'm going to share with you a feedback link to help me improve the content. Sounds good, yeah? All right, okay, let's get started. Okay, so now when it comes to serverless computing, right? Most of developers will think that, oh, it's all about AWS Lambda, right? But in fact, that serverless is more than AWS Lambda. It's way more than computing. While many developers associate serverless with Lambda, there are actually serverless services at all layers of the stack. And Lambda, in this kind of context, become the key service in serverless computing. But it's really when all these other components surrounding the Lambda that we start integrating, we will see much bigger benefits like database, messaging, orchestration, storage, and compute together are the secret sauce. And when all of these components come together, then we really see big gains from scalability, reliability to increasing development velocity. And one particular reason why we have more benefits by integrating all of these components, and this is, by the way, also why developers are adopting serverless computing, is that serverless reduce your operational load. And by delegating the operational load to serverless services, it allows you to focus on building applications and creating value for your customers rather than managing and scaling the infrastructure to support your application. So let me give you an example. If I were using traditional approach to build applications, just to build a simple API, I'm going to need to create the application, obviously. I need to configure the application server, and then I need to configure the Nginx for reverse proxy. I need to configure the instance, configure the upstream on Nginx to deliver load balancing, configure the database, and more importantly, managing the day-to-day operations for all of those components. I don't have time for that, right? And if I were to use serverless computing, what I'm going to do is that I only need to simply upload my code. I need to configure the integration between services and also interaction with the database. And that's it. I can let my applications run and scale so I can focus more on building new features. And this is the key in modern application development mindset, that you need to delegate as much as you can so you can focus more on your products. Now, let's see how we can do that in practice. Right. So what you see on the screen is a basic architecture. And most of startups use this basic architecture when they got started. So at first, we have our customers or potential customers using laptops or mobile devices to access our applications via the internet. And we need to have front end, back end, and database. Now, what we're going to do in this session is how we can build applications using AWS services. What are the options that we have? So let's map it one by one. Oops. Okay, so first let's talk about front end. So although I have to let you know that I'm not a front end developer, I'm more a back end and architecture kind of person, but let me try my best to explain it. To build and host your front end, there are two services that you can use: AWS Amplify and Amazon S3. In a nutshell, that you can use AWS Amplify if you prefer to have a one-stop solution or a service as hub for creating your applications. If that is what you need, then Amplify is just perfect service for you. However, some developers prefer to have more granular control, more flexibility for customization. And you can use Amazon S3 to do that. In fact, that AWS Amplify also use Amazon S3, but it abstracts away all the complexity so you don't have to. Amazon S3 is an object storage built to store and retrieve any amount of data from anywhere. With S3, you practically have virtually unlimited storage. And S3, it's really good for things like static assets, such as HTML, JavaScript files, images, or even backups, logs, customer records, media files, and so on. It can hold any files. And another key service, if you choose to prefer flexibility and using S3, is Amazon CloudFront. CloudFront is a content delivery network, or CDN, that delivers static and dynamic web content, video streams, and APRs around the world securely and at scale. And by integrating Amazon S3 and Amazon CloudFront, you can create an effective hosting for a static site. In fact, most of my projects, blogs, or even live streaming for my hands-on workshop, which I just did this afternoon, is using this approach: integration between S3 and also CloudFront. But if you don't need that kind of flexibility, then you can use AWS Amplify. Amplify is the fastest, easiest way to build mobile and web apps that scale. It has a set of tools, as you can see on the screen, and features that you can use one by one or even all together. And the idea of Amplify is to help front-end web and mobile developers build scalable full-stack applications on AWS. And with Amplify, you can configure application backends and connect your application in minutes. You can deploy a static web application in a few clicks and easily manage application content outside the AWS console. And I believe this is something that front-end developers will love to hear, that Amplify supports popular web frameworks, including JavaScript, React, Angular, Vue, Next.js, and mobile platforms, including Android, iOS, React Native, Ionic, and Flutter. Now, I'm not really fluent in front-end development, but I've been using Amplify with Vue, and it was so seamless for me to build a full-fledged applications. And I don't need to worry about how to add features like authentication, GraphQL, or even machine learning, because everything is configurable on Amplify. And if you see on the screen, these are the benefits you'll get if you're using Amplify for building your applications. And even if you're building a static site using static site generator like Hugo or Jekyll, it can automatically detect and create the configuration for you, which is amazing, right? Okay, so we have covered the front-end part. So let's talk about the backend. Now, one particular service that is a Swiss Army tool for any kind of serverless application is AWS Lambda. And AWS Lambda may be the best option for you for a couple of reasons. First, with AWS Lambda, you can run your code without needing to manage the server. All you need to do is upload your function code and AWS Lambda does the rest. And not only that, AWS Lambda will also perform scaling according to the requests received from probably only 10 requests to 1 million requests. And we don't need to do additional configuration, installation, or server management. You can also write your Lambda functions in multiple runtimes, such as Python, Go, or even bring your own custom runtime. Now, deployment-wise, you have flexibility to write code inline, package them using zip file, or streamline with your CI/CD by using container images. Now, an important concept that I love to share with you is events. AWS Lambda is a function, right? And to run a function, it must get a signal. And these signals are called events, and it can take in any form. For example, event could be a proxied HTTP request from API gateway. An event, when you upload a file to Amazon S3, there could be an event as well. Or to consume event from producer using pub/sub communication. This versatility, reliability, and scalability of AWS Lambda makes it a fundamental building block when you build serverless. Even that you want to build a distributed system like microservices, this could be your very first option. And again, when you are building applications, you're probably thinking about building APIs. I will not dive deep into this, but I will let you know that building APIs is really key for you to boost your product development. With APIs, you can easily build a website, mobile application, or even IoT devices, simply because you already couple between the UI and also the logic. And to build API, you need an API gateway. So let me share with you Amazon API Gateway. So Amazon API Gateway, it actually did not define the API space. API gateways have existed for a long time. But what makes API Gateway really unique is that it really fits inside this box of what is serverless. And it has also a number of capabilities that are only possible inside of a managed cloud environment. For example, like a DDoS protection, or throttling and usage tiers at a very large scale. And those not costing you anything when you are not running it. It also can be configured to have an edge endpoints fronted by a CDN, region points that only exist in an AWS region. It can have like a private endpoints for things like internal microservices. And behind the API can be pretty much any HTTP facing service on the internet. And when it comes to web applications, API Gateway can handle all your inbound applications routing with authentication and authorization for every request. And then the business logic served by AWS Lambda. And also, these are not mentioned on the slide, but with Amazon API Gateway, you have flexibility to choose what kind of APIs that you want to use. You can use HTTP APIs, you can use REST API, or even that you can build WebSocket as a full duplex communication between client and server. Okay, so we've got that covered, right? So for backend, we have API Gateway integrated with AWS Lambda. Now let's go to the last one, which is database. Now, this is really interesting. So if we look broadly across the industry, we see something like probably hundreds of different databases options that are available out there today. But they broadly will fit into one of these categories, like relational, key value, document, in-memory, graph, time series, or even ledger. And each of these data models is built for a specific purpose, each with their own specific use case. And this is one good advice for you. If you're building applications, use the database that fits your use cases, so you never have to compromise on functionality, performance, or scaling the database. And what is more interesting about how we use database in the application is the majority of use cases usually falls into one of these two database models, between relational or key value database. And this is something that I would love to give you an advice. When you're building application, if you look closer into your applications, you will see that most of your operation is actually getting key and getting value. So in that case, that key value database is much more suitable for your applications. So that's why I would love to introduce you to Amazon DynamoDB. And I personally think that this is going to be one service that you're going to need for building application, at least if you are getting started. Amazon DynamoDB is a fully managed NoSQL database service running in the AWS. The complexity of running a massively scalable distributed NoSQL database is managed by the DynamoDB itself. And this allows you as a developer to focus on building applications rather than managing infrastructure. So with DynamoDB, you need only to learn DynamoDB straightforward API using the SDK for the programming language of your choice. And it's also cost effective. Now, when I say it's cost effective, it means that with DynamoDB, you pay for the storage that you are consuming and the I/O throughput you have provisioned. It also enables an application to seamlessly grow to support millions of users, and it's secure with support for end-to-end encryption and fine-grained access control. So you have those kind of features with DynamoDB, and the best thing is, as a developer, we only need to integrate with the API or even using the SDK that has been provided by Amazon DynamoDB. Okay, so now we have a full architecture. So we have Amplify to host our web applications. To communicate with your backend, we have Amazon API Gateway as centralized gateway. And it also has integration with AWS Lambda. And lastly, that you can integrate your AWS Lambda with Amazon DynamoDB as a database, right? Okay, so time check. Before we go to the demo, let me check the timing. Bob, do we still have time for demo?
Yes.
Or if anyone here want to go straight to Q&A?
We're okay with demo. Yeah.
Oh,
Take your
nice.
time.
Okay. Okay, this is something that I really love. Demo. Okay, so this is the web page that I mentioned about just now when I talk about the hands-on workshop, the live streaming. This is the page. I use the Amplify for some of the components. I also use S3 and CloudFront for the static assets. And also this one, the player here is actually IVS player, the Amazon IVS. And just to let you know that if you want to dive deep on how that you can build a serverless REST API, this is the GitHub workshop that you can try to clone and do the workshop on your own pace. It has like a few labs. You can start with creating backend with Lambda and DynamoDB, implementing a full-fledged REST API, even controlling access with Lambda authorizer. So yeah, so just to let you know, if you want to dive deeper into serverless APIs, you can try to learn from this GitHub repo. Okay, so first off, I would like to show you on how that I host the website, right? So as you can see here, so here is actually my my source code for the community workshop page that you just see. So if I go 3, you can see that it's really basic. It has assets, it has images and GS, it has the folder and also the web page. It's really basic. It's nothing that really modern. But what I want to show you is that how that you can integrate this with AWS Amplify. So AWS Amplify, you can use Amplify for 2 options. The first one, if you want to build a full-fledged applications, or the other features that it's really nice for me is to host your static site. So you can see here that if I go to these settings, that you can see that I've already linked the resource repository on my GitHub, which is the community workshop here. And then that means that every time that if I commit my changes, it's going to kick off a CI/CD which you can see here, it has, so once you integrated this Amplify project with the GitHub repo, it will also create a simple CI/CD for you from provisioning, build, deploy, and verify. So all of those are configurable that you can set up on the build settings. And what I love about Amplify is actually that you can create, you can host it on your own domain here, right? It has a nice built-in feature with Route 53 and also the SCM as well. It has the build settings that I mentioned. If you have Hugo or you have Jekyll, it will automatically detect and can deploy directly to a website. And then it also has a previews, which is really good. And this is something that I use the most, which is the access control. That means that if you have another branch on your GitHub repository, that you can use that branch to as a preview or as a development web. And you can also set the access settings. That means that you need to give some username and password for those who want to access it, right? So that is AWS Amplify. And then I want to go to API Gateway. So I mentioned about the serverless API. And if I go to this source code, okay, so I'm using the source code from my workshop, which is the API Gateway integration. And I want to introduce you to CDK as well. So CDK is one of the toolings, the developer toolings that provided by AWS that you can use your programming language. In this case, I use Python to provision the resource. So for example, right, for this demo, I created a DynamoDB table, which is listed here. I have this table name, partition key, removable policy, and the capacities as well. And I define the IAM roles, right? So I adopted the least privilege approach, which I'm going to give the permission for my applications to access a specific resources and not all of my resources in my AWS account. And then I create AWS Lambda functions on this line. I hope it's not too small. If it's too small, please ping me and I can enlarge this script.
From my end, it's still okay. How
Amazing.
about the others?
Okay, just in case, I'm going to make it a bit bigger. Okay, so in this case, I have like 4 functions, right? And then I create an API gateway with this really like a simple lines. And then I create the resource data. I create a post method. I create the get method, get for listing all the data and also delete the data, right? And if I issue a command CDK deploy, it's going to automatically provision everything that I have defined on the source code that you've just seen into my AWS account. And you can see that I have this endpoint, I have the DynamoDB table name as well, which is really good. So if we go to this page, which is the same API gateway that have been created by AWS CDK. And then what we're going to do now is to test the application. Okay, so as I mentioned that this application has let me show you the diagram. So this application has 4 methods, but it has get to retrieve the data. It has the post to save the data. It can get the data to get the details of the data and also delete the data for a specific ID. Right, so we're going to do one by one. First, let me save the data. Right, so this is the collection of the curl command that I'm going to use. I'm going to execute it. And you can see that we have a message success. That means 1 data has already been stored in DynamoDB. Right. So we're going to add 3 data. So if we go to our DynamoDB and we hit on refresh, you can see that we have 3 different records here. Right. So now let's try to list everything from our endpoint. So this is a get method. And then if I click on this, it's going to get everything on the database and send it back as a response in forms of JSON. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get one of the ID here because it doesn't give me more, it doesn't give me all the fields. So if I go to here and then I change the ID, then we can get the response, which is hello. And this is the last updated, which is using the GMT format, right? And then now, lastly, that we're going to do is that we're going to delete the data. So this is to delete the data. And then I still have the endpoint, right? Yes, sorry, the ID. So if I want to delete a specific ID, we can use programming to do this, but this is only for a simple demo. So I use curl. And then it's going to give us response success. And then if we go to list all data, you see that one row already been removed. And this is to demonstrate on how easy it is to build an application using serverless computing. So what you just seen that we just created a scalable, highly available, and reliable API with integration of Amazon API Gateway, Lambda, and DynamoDB. And also, the nicest thing about this, when you build your application using infrastructure as code, which is in this case, I'm using AWS CDK, is that I can destroy this kind of a system whenever I want. So if I destroy it, it's going to delete everything on this specific architecture, right? So you know that when you do the live demo, there's always a moment of silence. There's that awkward silence when you're waiting for it to be done. And this is it.
Yeah, part of every demo, every single demo there.
Welcome to the awkward silence. It should by now, it's already been deleted, but let me try. Okay, so we've got an error. So that means that the system already done. And if you want to like rebuild the applications, you just need to execute CDK deploy, and there you have it. You have the same architecture using source code that you already defined, using the configuration that you already defined with different endpoints, which is really awesome, right? Okay, so let's back to our slide. Oh, I think it's a Q&A time. Okay, so Q&A. If you have any questions, please post them on Slido. I think I'm going to open my Slido.
Okay, guys and gals, if you have questions for Donnie, this is the time, okay? Feel free to unmute yourselves. I'll go first. How about pricing for students and for professionals? Are they the same, or are there discounts for students?
So that's a really good question. So that really depends on the AWS account that you have. I'm not really sure about the if there's any difference if you're using AWS Educate, but what I can say is that by adopting this kind of approach, which is the serverless, it's relatively or not significantly lower than you use the traditional approach. For example, that if you use the traditional approach, which is using the Amazon EC2, that means that you need to spin up your VM 24/7 to handle all the requests, right? But if you use this kind of approach, which is the Amazon API Gateway and AWS Lambda, and also the DynamoDB, for the AWS Lambda, that you only need to pay if it's being executed. So from that kind of point of view, that you can feel that this is give you like a significant benefits, as the cost is going to be much slower than using traditional approach.
Cool, that's awesome. Okay, anyone who has questions for Donnie?
I got a questions from Anonymous.
Okay, cool.
I don't know who you are, but that's why you're anonymous. Hello, I'm a still student. How should I get started with this? What do you recommend should I learn first? Okay, so that's a really good question. And that's exactly why I built where is my Firefox? Okay, so that is why I built this workshop. So this workshop, I know it sounds a bit like a shameless plug, but to be honest with you, this is actually a workshop that distilled by feedback and inputs from early stage developers. They want to learn about serverless, but because there are so many things to learn, there are so many services, they don't know where to get started first. So, but if you try to read the documentation first on this GitHub repo, you will have a sense on how that you can build application using serverless approach. And this is basically all you need when you're creating an API for your product. This workshop has the integration with backend, right? And also have the integration for the API gateway, which you're going to build a REST API. And lastly, it also helps you to define control access API, which protects your API and system and database. And if you want to learn about Amplify, they actually have a really nice they have a nice website. I think Amplify, docs.amplify.aws. So it really, even for me, I'm a more backend to architecture kind of developer. It helps me to understand those like a simple bits about the front end development. I learn about React, I learn about Vue, and I learn about the vanilla JavaScript from this documentation. So if you want to learn about Amplify, this is your first document or first resource that you need to do. Okay. So we have another question from Willie. How long does it take to migrate a full applications, including the database on-prem to AWS? Okay, so this is not really a question related to serverless, but I really appreciate your question. So that really depends. This is based on my experience. So AWS actually has this cool service called AWS DMS, which is a database migration service, which is going to help you on how that you can move your database and all those data from your on-prem to AWS cloud. So that's one thing that you need to do first when it comes to migration. You need to really think about your data. And then the second thing that I do really recommend, there's a design pattern that you can strangle pattern, AWS. No. So I believe this one. Yeah. So, So once that you have your database secured in your AWS cloud, then for the next thing that you need to do is how you modernize your applications. And then once that you have your applications running on AWS cloud, and then that you need to fit all those data from your legacy applications to your new applications. And one pattern that I really recommend is a strangle pattern. So with strangle pattern that you can try to fit the data from the old or legacy into your new applications on AWS cloud. So yeah, but how long does it take to migrate? That really depends on how big or complex your application is. Okay, any other questions?
Okay, guys, who have any questions for Donnie related to his talk tonight?
How about this?
Cool.
I'm going to give a credit code to those who ask. So really, you got one. So please do share your info to Bob, and then I'm going to share the code to Bob.
Okay, yeah, Willie is here. Wilfredo Steele. This is his name here in Zoom.
Oh, okay.
Anybody else who have questions for Donnie?
It's a $25 AWS credit code that you can redeem for your account.
Yeah, that's a lot to experiment on things.
Especially when it comes, if you use a serverless computing, it's a lot.
I remember the first time that I used AWS, my intention was just to back up a lot of photos. So
Okay.
and I went to the way of S3. That was a wrong decision. It was a costly mistake.
Yeah.
But now, but now I'm good. So I've been doing several experiments with AWS, and
Yeah, we
yeah,
all do. I believe that that like using like a mic or even migrating to cloud computing or even developing in cloud is actually a journey, Bob. So there's a few stages that we need to pass. Probably the hardest one for me is to unlearn what I learned previously on the on-prem or even on the colocation servers, right? So there's a stage we do experiments, we do fails, but we do succeed.
but one thing that I love with AWS is that if you tell the customer service that you made an error and then you were just experimenting, they will basically reverse the charges, but not all the time.
I didn't know that.
I tried that many times. Tell them that
Oh, okay.
there was even one time that I forgot to terminate a server and it was running for
Mm.
more than 24 hours. And then when I checked my billing, oh, I have more than $100 bill already. So I told them I actually unintendedly forgot to turn off the server. It's just an experiment.
So lessons learned here. If you got any problem with your AWS account, please reach out to a support center.
Yeah, and they answer quite fast. So I'm happy. I'm a happy customer.
Okay, so if that's we do have. Oh, we got a question from Creative Kim. How does AWS Lambda secure our code? Okay, so that's a really good question. So let me circle back to my Firefox. Okay. Okay, so let's use this diagram, right? So AWS Lambda is actually the computing layer in our serverless applications. So you have this Amazon API gateway, which is the front door for any kind of HTTP request from our clients. We have also the database in which the AWS Lambda going to interact or like doing data manipulations for our data and then put it into database, which is the Amazon DynamoDB. And why I say that AWS Lambda is secure is because by rights, if we go to AWS Lambda, like for example, this one, yeah, like this one. This is the one of the function that I use to validate the request is valid or not by challenging with JOT token. And you can see here that if there's a code signing details, so this is you can use this AWS signer to create a digital sign for your Lambda functions, right? So there are two kind of benefits on using this code signing. So that means the signing profile, you can see that a signing profile is code signing template that defines the signature specification for a signing job. And then the signing job, you can start the signing job in AWS Signer to sign your Lambda deployment package. And that way that you can know that this AWS Lambda is valid, even that you are trying to import like another code from the third-party service or even your friends or even somebody that you don't know, that you can try to verify it using this kind of features so you know that the code is valid or not. Does that help your questions, Creative Kip?
Yeah, that's Kim Dumanog.
Okay, so you know him. So I'm going to pass the credit cards to you so you can distribute to them.
He's called Creative Kim because he's our creative guy at the Mozilla Philippines Community.
Nice.
He does the create. He did your poster.
Oh, thank you so much, Creative Kim. Thank you so much. I love it.
Okay, so guys, any other question for Donnie? So Creative Kim is
Okay.
the guy who's not in photo because most of the time before the pandemic, he's the photographer of the team. So he does.
Oh,
He's always in the background.
He's the hero of the documentation.
Yeah.
Okay, so if not, can I run my survey for feedback now, Bob?
Sure, sure. Go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, so please head over to Slido again. You can see that I have like a really simple questions just to give me some inputs on what kind of things that I need to improve or any kind of topics that you want me to cover if there's any upcoming opportunity with Mozilla Philippines.
Okay, guys. So please go to app.sly.do and then enter the
Yep.
event code 725782. Or simply scan the QR code that you see on your screen.
Okie dokie. Okay, so I'm going to leave this survey open. I don't want to hold any time anymore for Bob. So Bob, I hand it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Donnie. Thank you, thank you. We would love to have you again on our future meetups. Okay, so I hope that our attendees learned. Me personally, I learned something new tonight. Okay, even if I've been using AWS for quite some time, especially when it comes to the databases, I'm pretty much more of a newbie in that field. Would love to
Glad to hear
hear,
that.
yeah, would love to hear uh webinars, lectures about Aurora and those stuff
Oh,
soon.
that's amazing topic. Database. Okay.
Yeah, cool, cool. Thank you very much, Donnie. Okay, so let's give him a virtual round of applause. Thank you. Terima kasih. Though,
Salamat.
maraming salamat. Okay, and we hope to have you again very soon. And when the pandemic is over, we'll see each other in the flesh.
I'm Bob. I'm really thank you Mozilla community for having me. And I am a Mozilla fan. I really support what you guys are doing for community. So if you need any of my help, just to let me know. If you want any kind of workshop and then even like to deliver a session like this, just let me know. It's been a pleasure to meet everyone here, and thank you.
The pleasure is ours. Thank you very much, Donnie. Okay, so there you go. So we have Donnie Prakoso from the AWS giving us a talk about serverless computing. So just to continue on with the meetup, I'll be sharing my screen. This was the one that I was telling earlier. Okay, so I was at AWS reInvent in 2019. It was held in Las Vegas. So I was this close to Andy Jassy. Okay, so my eldest son's name is Robin Andy. So you know where the Andy came from. It's from Andy Jassy. And when he showed this screen, you see that circle there. Mozilla is one of the customers of Amazon Web Services who was among the first to use the EC2A1 instance powered by AWS Graviton processors. Okay, what does it mean? Because you know we as a nonprofit organization, we need to be always doing awesome stuff, but the cost should always be low. So we rely on this kind of technology to bring more awesomeness to more people. Okay, so I was so surprised when I saw this slide up on stage, and yeah, something like, oh, cool. Okay, you didn't know that we are using this technology already. Okay, so some updates. One is that Firefox 88 is now out. Okay, please update your browsers if you haven't done so. It will automatically update if you're connected to the internet. But if you're not using Firefox, please just run Firefox so that it will update itself. The localization for Firefox desktop and Android to Tagalog is still ongoing. And in addition, we have localization efforts currently ongoing with Cebuano and Hiligaynon. Okay, so just check MozillaPH.org for updates and our social media channels. The Mozilla PH office hours is now back on YouTube. Okay, so it's every Wednesday at 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. Manila time. If you have questions, just go to the Mozilla PH YouTube channel and yeah, feel free to participate. Okay. Upcoming events, we have two. Okay, for May. One is that we are going to have a training. It's an online training for the Mozilla PH Social Support Contributor program. So it is part of the Sumo Mozilla support team. which is ongoing, and we need more volunteers for that particular endeavor. The only requirement is that you have a Twitter account. Okay. And then next is that the Philippine Tech Week 2021, first of its kind. Okay. First time that we are going to have it is that will be happening on May 17 to 22 with several speaker sessions from Philippine tech communities, including the Mozilla Philippines Community. So get your free tickets now via techweek.phtechcommunity.org. Okay, or just scan the QR code. So it's here. Okay, so for you, we'll be sending the information via social media and email. If you had signed up via join.mozillaph.org, you are automatically subscribed to our mailing list. So you will also be receiving this information. Do we have questions on upcoming activities of Mozilla Philippines community, the ongoing efforts and localization? We are going to launch something more awesome related to elections, misinformation, disinformation, and how to be secured and private online very soon. Do we have Romar? Romar, are you here?
Hey, Bob.
Hey,
Everyone.
okay. Would you like to talk about just a very short thing about the localization efforts in Cebuano?
Yeah, just a little bit. Well, you've already mentioned some updates. So just a quick one coming from us. We were able to finish up our Cebuano localization style guide. We patterned it basically from our existing localization style guide for Tagalog Filipino. So we just made some changes to the style guide to conform to the Cebuano localization efforts, and we already finished that, and we've already started doing translations for Firefox, for Android, for Cebuano, and we'd like to, of course, invite everyone who are here right now and invite your friends as well. That we're looking for more volunteers to join us and help in not only in the Cebuano localization efforts for Mozilla, but also for the Hiligaynon as well. So yeah, hope that we'll see you. See you, everyone.
Cool. Okay, thank you, Romar. Okay, that is Romar Micabalo, Mayor Micabalo, sorry. Okay, so he's the regional coordinator for Mozilla Philippines in Northern Mindanao. Is Frederick here? Frederick.
Hi. Hi, everyone.
Hi. Okay. Straight from Abu
Can you hear
Dhabi.
me?
Yes, we can hear you. Okay. So any update for
Good evening,
Hiligaynon?
everyone. Yeah, as what Ramon said a while ago, we started already our style guide in Hiligaynon. So we are waiting for the feedback from our team to finalize this one. And with regards to the terminology for Hiligaynon, we finished this one already 2 weeks back. So we are trying to finalize everything so that we can start to translate the Firefox for Android. Yeah, so we encourage everyone to join in our endeavor to localize Firefox in Hiligaynon.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. Okay. Regards to our friends there in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
Okay. So do we have questions before we go to the lightning talks? Any question? Feel free to unmute or raise your hand. Going once, twice. Okay, lightning talks. There are, I think, 2 who submitted their lightning talks. Who said yes. Are they here? We have Princess Taya por Dios. Are you here? Princess, are you here? Okay, so when you signed up, you were asked if you want to be part of the lightning talks. Okay, they said yes. And the other guy is Alex Heresa. Are you here? Alex is, Heresa, yeah. Alex is here. Hello, Alex. Hello. There may be some audio problems. Okay, so last call for Princess Taya po Dios. and Alex Heresa. Just unmute your mic and you have the floor for 5 minutes. Okay. Calling 1, 2, 3. Okay. So there. So I said this earlier. So we need volunteers for the Mozilla Philippines community. So just go to join.mozillaph.org to sign up so that we can get your email and we'll include you in the list so that you get more information on how to participate and be part of the local community. So we also have the Mozilla community portal. I'll be sending the link to this event if you want to be counted in the portal for this meetup. Okay. So there's a group there for the Mozilla Philippines. And last, okay, class photo. Okay. So if we can have, okay, I'll just invite you to please turn on your camera so that I can take a screenshot. Also with Donnie. Donnie, are you still there?
Yeah. There's
Okay,
a class photo.
Yeah, we'll just have a class photo. So it's
Oh, this is nice.
So this is some sort, Filipinos love to take photos, and
Oh, really?
during the pandemic, it's hard for us to take photos. So that's why we'll just have a Zoom.
That's really cool. This just
screenshot.
inspired me. I think I'm going to create a simple application so we can get a photo all together.
Cool. There. So I
class
invite
photo.
everyone to please turn on their cameras. Okay, please. So let's give them a minute, okay, to prepare. Maybe some are still fixing their hair and stuff. Okay. This has become a standard with almost every community here in the Philippines. So after a meetup, an online meetups, there's a class photo. So we love taking photos of everything. Okay, so 30 seconds more.
Family photo.
Yup. So that there's a documentation who attended.
Took my job, Sir Bob.
Yeah, so that's Creative Kim Dumanog there.
Oh, hello Kim. Thanks for the poster. That was awesome.
Thanks.
Okay, so there. So I'll take the photo, screenshot. Turn on your cameras now. Okay, 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay, I'll take the photo now. Say cheese. Okay, one more for safety. Say Mozilla. Okay, there.
That's cool.
Okay. Thank you very much to all who attended. Thank you, Donnie. Okay, we'll be forever grateful
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so we'll see you again next time. Take care. Okay, be safe. Okay. We're still in NCR Plus. We're still in MECQ. Don't go out if it's not needed. Okay. Stay at home. Thank you and have a good night, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Have a good night, everyone. Bye-bye.